What is up, everyone? It's Rahul here. We're back with another tournament report. I just came back home from Birmingham. Originally, was not planning on going to this regionals, but about 2 weeks ago, nah, maybe 3 weeks ago, like closer to three, was talking to the guys. They opened up more slots. Right, flights weren't too expensive. Figured it'd be a really cool way to spend my birthday. Ended up heading out to the UK to play some Pokemon. Basically, just ran back the exact same Perth list that I played. Basically, not too much changed with Lugia. I felt like Lugia was still in a really good position, especially in the metagame. Reggie Drago players have been blinding second, specifically for the mirror match and some other bad matchups. Um, there's been more Zard hype coming back, so Raikou gets a little bit better. Um, all that being said, I just felt like Lugia was in a good spot in the metagame. Went back into it. Obviously, did not go well, but I wanted to talk about kind of why it went that way and just go from there. So round one, I hit Andrew Emerson, who was playing AR Caladon. Now, AR Caladon has been a deck that has not just exploded onto the scene. People are quite excited for the new format, which is going to be kicking off here quite soon. So if you are sticking on the channel, by the way, heading into UIC format, I will be playing a bunch of cups and challenges, trying out some ideas at tournaments. So it won't necessarily be the highest quality of play, but I'll be trying out some decks heading into these cups and challenges because I'm not going to Merida, nor am I going to Puerto Rico. Did not realize it was a new format, or I would have signed up for one or the other. Not gonna lie, it would have been fun. But mistakes for mistakes. Anyway, Andrew game one gets pretty much a perfect start. I end up only getting one Lugia down both games. In game one, sorry, and he pops the Lugia turn two. I'm put already in an immediately bad spot. I have to set up behind just what's going on. Then basically I get to a board state where I can't really win. I just stick it out to see what he has left in the deck. I try to go for a saw block because I've now seen two pal pads and a Turo. He shows and a Thornton as well, so he shows a second Turo and I pack it up. Game two, um, I get off to a really good start. I get to kill his Dialga turn two with boss. Turn three, I need to find a boss's orders to kill the Dialga once again. I end up missing the boss's orders. I have to attack into the AR Caladon. He ends up Turoing up the AR Caladon, setting up the Dialga V stars using Scoop Up Cyclone all in the same turn. V stars knocks out my Lugia. I respond with a Chinchino knockout, and then he knocks out my Chinchino. Iono's below, and I don't really have a comeback into this one because I just can't win the race. I just don't have anything to one shot these Arcaladons anymore, this Dialga anymore. Like I don't have any gas left in my tank per se. I guess it's the biggest issue of me playing 1-1 Chinchino is the Arcaladon matchup. I just don't have a route to beat their big guys at some point. I just run out of steam. So was pretty annoying to lose that one, but I start the day 0-1. Then I go up against Ryan. Ryan is playing. I wrote all these down because I'm a little bit under the weather. I was playing Lax, so Ryan ends up being my easiest win. Ryan flips over Klefki. I play out my turn. I do everything I need to do. He secret boxes, gets like fan, flute, stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, he's playing Lax. So I end up very quickly 2-0ing Ryan. So I get kind of a freebie, which is nice because I haven't hit a Lax in a long time. Round three, I hit James, who's playing Ceruledge. And both games basically like come down to a point where, like game one, uh, James discards all his jets off of Blender, so I'm able to saw block him at the very end of the game to win the game. Then game two, I gust up a Pheasantipity because he missed his turn one attachment, or he attached like a Radiant Greninja and doesn't retreat that he opened. So I bossed that up because then I know he can't attack with Ceruledge this upcoming turn to buy myself a turn. He attaches and retreats the Pheasantipity, which then I'm like happy to just like hands whatever he puts in the active, which I think was Greninja. So I just hands it, get off to an early start. He tries to play around the legacy. I basically just get full rain from there. There's a Squawk on the board. Whatever. Like Squawk and Fez are both on board. Like there are prizes on the board for me to take. I'm able to stay ahead and get ahead. Ceruledge definitely is not the easiest matchup. It's one of the tougher ones, I think, for sure. Run three, I hit Francesco. He's playing Gardevoir. First game, I have a pretty unlucky set of draws, and Francesco gets like turn two. It's called Belgardy, so going second, he ends up getting 4 Curly Out by turn two, basically. Has everything he needs. I'm having a really slow start. I'm just getting, bodied around here. Game two, I have like a really, really unfortunate turn where if I hit hands or water pawn off of research to 7, I basically just can't lose the game from this point onwards because I just get to take 2. And his board is undeveloped because Francesco missed the turn 2 Evo. So I'm able to just get really far ahead. And then at the very end of the game, I had a very few cards off the deck to actually make a boss plus Baird play. And I had a confusion flip with arm press, with Iron Hands to try to win the game as well. And both those things didn't happen, and I ended up losing a very close game two, where a lot of things went wrong, and I was pretty upset about that one. Obviously now I'm 2-2, pretty demoralized. Then I go up against Elliot. Elliot is playing. Please stop blocking. AR Caladon. Now I win the flip against Elliot, which is, I think, the only reason I win the matchup, because I end up just taking 2-2-2 in a much faster way than Elliot does. Game two, when he actually sets up, he bodies me. Like, I actually can't do anything. And then game three, it's the same old where I get to go first. I get to take two on his Greninja that he opened into um, boss the Dialga, like boss something else. Like, basically, like, they have to put Dialga down to kind of win the game. I'm able to chase those. He has to chase my Minccino. If he chases my Minccino, I have multiple attacks on his active, depending on the A spec. Round six, I hit Jimmy. Jimmy is playing Gouging Fire. Jimmy comes in with a ton of ties. We end up coming. I win game one barely. He wins game two convincingly, because Gouging Fire is a terrible matchup for Lugia. If you guys didn't know, they do 260, and then they can move 20 with Munkidori, which skips Gift, which skips Legacy, which skips all of my fun little interactions that I have going for me. So then I end up finding myself in a position where I have to win game three. And we come down to the wire where I'm pretty confident Jimmy's out of resources. I count everything, and I make a gut read to just pass with Ursaluna active after taking a knockout. And I have boss in hand for the next turn, and he can't get a Gouging Fire in the active and knock me out, because I think all four of his bases were in the discard. I don't think he played switch cards, and he was bench locked, so I was just assuming. I was like, I've seen Latias. I don't think they have a way to move this. I've seen Jet Energies, but he needs to attach a fire to attack this turn. So I was pretty confident that I've survived the onslaught, and I got pretty lucky, I think, at the very end of the game, and I end up winning, going to 4-2. The dream is still alive. I can make it to the 2 with 5-2-1. I just prefer not to. I'd rather, try to go in at 6-2 if anything. I hit Piotr. They're playing Roaring Moon. Game one, I end up basically losing my only Lugia. I have three Aroma Heads, and a Goza Tails. So I'm sitting on my hand of three like chops, something else. He ends up gusting up my Lugia, kills my Lugia turn one. I end up putting another Lugia down, play my turn out, can't get another Lugia down because the other one's prized. A lot of things go wrong. Then I start saw blocking my opponent, and I'm winning the saw block, but he plays a second copy of Judge, and I end up being one card short of having enough resources to win the deck out. Game two, I set up normally, and I end up winning the game, just because that's the nature of Lugia in the Moon. I think it's very difficult for Moon to win if Lugia sets up normally with missed energies and stuff like that. Game three, I end up only getting one Lugia down. My start is once again pretty abysmal. I prize two baby Lugias, and Piotr finds the turn one attack with Prime Catcher and blows up my Lugia. I try to set up a bear on the bench to do something about this, but he just sets up a Caladon. So at some point his board is like Moon, Caladon, and I know I'm checkmated, so I pick up the cards. Not much I can do for that situation. Round 8 is Filippo. I technically don't need at 4-3, I was already like pretty much over the tournament. Like, I was just kind of like, man, I've failed. I've done poorly once again. And for me, this is the second tournament in a row where I've done poorly with Lugia. I consider at least day two the bottom part of a benchmark of a good tournament or a decent tournament, And 2 tournaments in a row with Lugia doing poorly is not good, right? Like, obviously a lot of external factors, a lot of matchups today that you guys probably didn't even expect me to talk about, matchups that are like kind of not real, but that is that's the fact of the matter. Like, sometimes you just don't hit matchups you expect. Sometimes you find those 2% matchups like Gouging Fire, Roaring Moon, and Filippo. I just sat down. I said, I don't need these points. I don't want to play this game. I'm gonna go ahead and concede. I can't get packs or anything. I'm just dipping. So it is what it is. I'm not going to be playing Lugia in San Antonio more than likely. I am heading out there, which is the last tournament of this format before we jump into Badoo formats. So prismatic cards do become legal on February 1st or January 31st, whatever. I don't know. Like, if you have a challenge that day, I guess it's up to your TO how they want to do it. But so for this last one, I'm probably not going to end up playing Lugia. I do think Lugia is still very powerful for the remainder of this format and all of prismatic format. So I'll be updating my masterclass with those things soon, but I need to play some games on live, get a feel for the new cards, and I get to go to some real tournaments as well and get some practice. For the time being, I'm going to try to find a new deck for next weekend. Maybe it's time I pay my Drago tax. Maybe it's time I try something new. I think after 2 tournaments in a row that I did poorly, I have to find something to switch it up a little bit. At the very least, I just have to try something new. I think that it'll be a good refresher at the very least, like whether I do good or bad. So I'll see how it goes. But thank you guys for the support. As always, this weekend was really cool. A lot of people coming up and telling me that they got into the game because of me, and that really warms my heart, because it's like that's like all my intention is with my content. Sorry, like, my intention with my content is not for me to make a living or anything like that. It's for you guys to come into the Pokemon trading card game, and learn how to play and have a good time. So I'm trying to set those expectations, try to ease your barrier of entry, all that stuff. That being said, thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more videos soon.